I never even pretend like you can see me. So just take the time to pull it down. I want to join the president, the staff, and administrators and faculty in welcoming you into this new year, whether this is your first semester or your last or somewhere in between. So welcome into the school year of 23-24. I cherish always the opportunity to be the first proclaimer. So these 10 minutes are supposed to be a convocation address, but because I'm a preacher, it will always be preaching. So we won't even pretend like it's not. Fiery signs and divine encounters. You've come here, whether for the first time or returning. I imagine when you came here, you had some kind of ethereal encounter. Maybe you encountered something or someone while talking with a friend or a partner or your pastor, and something made you go, I think God might be calling me. And then you had to struggle with that very notion. And maybe like Moses, you were running from a life that had become complicated while you thought you were acting justly. If you know the story, you know Moses killed somebody in the name of protecting his people, and then got called out for that and ran to the backside of a mountain, got married, was there for 40 years. Don't know whether 40 years actually means 40 years or just a long time. And was by now settled into a good job and a good life and an uncomplicated one, and was feeling really good about how things were going right about him. I mean, he and his wife, you know, they got a son now. He and his father-in-law are getting along pretty good, which in itself is a miracle, and they're doing really well. And he's leading sheep. It's really the kind of job you ought to have. You're just gonna rest and relax and be okay with the world. But then, while tending sheep, he sees something. What he sees is not uncommon, actually. Burning bushes happened all the time. They would combust and take fire. What he saw, though, was a bush that wasn't consumed. So it was burning bushes, be burning bushes. But burning bushes that aren't consumed, now we have a challenge. And he got pulled aside by this very strange thing, a common thing that happens that suddenly is uncommon. A bush that burns, common, not consumed, not so common. I don't know what brought you aside to listen to the voice of God. I don't know what it was for you. I was sharing with the group that's going to be leading us through our worship that for me it was this. When I got called to seminary, I was working as a reporter. I had a plush reporter job. I was on the business desk, and that's not writing obits. That's, you know, I was on the business desk, and I would talk to people, and sometimes I would go to their office, and I would get to their office, and they would say things like, "You sound so tall on the phone." Literally, somebody said that to me. But I had this plush job, I was doing it, and it was amazing, and I suddenly became miserable. And I was Church of God, Anderson, and that was my ordination. By then, I was even ordained, and I did what any holiness, Wesleyan holiness, Church of God person would do. I began to fast and pray. How many of you know that if you decide to fast, people invite you to lunch? That's how. So every time, no matter what, they have never invited you to lunch. Suddenly, you are the person they most want to hang out with. And so I would, right before lunch, slip out and go across the street to First Presbyterian Church. It was right across from the newspaper where I was working in San Antonio, Texas. And I would sit in their courtyard during lunchtime and pray. Because I was Church of God, I was clear that I was going to pray and I was going to hear from God or die trying. That was going to happen. So the pastor paid attention to me, and he was Pastor Louis Lebinden. He's a part of my story. He saw me every day, and he would be smoking a cigarette. And I'm Church of God, so of course he couldn't possibly be saved because he was smoking a cigarette. And so about day 7 or so, he said, "Hey, I have seen you come over here every day. Can I speak with you?" I didn't know his name. He didn't know my name. And I said, sure. He brought me into his office and he started telling me the parable of the 10 talents. And I start blubbering like you do when you hear the voice of God and you didn't know you need to hear the voice of God like that. And he walked out on me while I was crying. He left the tissues in the middle of the table just in case I wanted to wipe my face. 10 minutes later, he comes back and he says, "There's a seminary up the road. I think you should go." Oh, the last part of that was he said, "Are you going to be content to be a big fish in a small pond, or will you allow God to take you out into the ocean of God's good graces where you do not know the God that you currently know?" Right? And so still don't know my name. I still don't know his name. His name is not on his desk. Let me just say, when you become a pastor, get your name on your desk. So he says to me, "There's a seminary up the road. I want you to join. I want you to go. If you get accepted, my church will pay the first $1,000 scholarship." He still doesn't know my name. A divine, fiery encounter. A bush not consumed. A conversation. A dream, a song, something ordinary, suddenly not ordinary at all, and God has spoken. I don't know what got your attention and made you suddenly aware of the Holy One. I don't know what pulled you aside. I don't know what April said or Gabrielle said that made you say, "Yes, this is God for me to come to MTSO." I don't know if you were walking the farm and Nate smiled a certain way and you said, "Aha, this is the place." I don't know if it was something you ate in the dining hall and you said, "God is calling." Ordinary things are what God uses to call us. I can promise you though, you'll have several fiery encounters while you're here. Maybe it will be in Dr. Schellenberg's New Testament courses where mind blown, things you've always thought about the New Testament suddenly doesn't make sense to you. And he cocks his head to the side and just waits for you to really absorb all of that. Or maybe it'll be in Dr. Ritchie's courses or Dr. Common's course, or maybe it will be sitting in Myers Lounge with a group of other students complaining about the deadlines of the papers or the whatever it is too, or maybe it will be right here in the center. You will have encounters that are more than what they appear. And like Moses, you might be shook by them. Who expects to hear the voice of the divine? Especially when you've settled into a normal life. Who expects their life to be completely upended and told that there is a bigger call, a bigger project for you than tending sheep or passing an exam or writing a paper? But you will have them, I promise you. When I graduated from seminary, I was invited to be the targeted search for an institution. And I kept saying no to them until the third time they called. My then partner said to me, "This might be God." When I asked them from whom they had gotten my name, I was stunned. I didn't know why that person would give me their name. After the interview and after I accepted the position at Memphis Theological, I called that person. She was a history teacher at Austin Seminary, where I had not taken one course with her. And I said to her, "I have heard the voice of God and it sounds a lot like Ellen Babinski." Divine encounters. You will have them. They will be in conversations and relationships that you will build with co-learners and with professors, with staff members, and even more. Divine encounters, inspiring conversations in classrooms where you will disagree. Sidebar, don't agree to disagree. Just disagree and try to understand the difference in what you're saying to one another. What you will discover is this is holy ground. God is here, whether you're on Zoom or on the campus, whether walking the labyrinth or on the lawn, whether giving one another a ride or babysitting or pet sitting, you will have divine encounters. The laughter of the children will bear the sound of God on the wind. You will be humbled by what you don't know. You will have questions like Moses had. When God prepares to send you, you will feel just as unprepared and just as afraid. That is a part of what divine encounters do. They terrify us as they equip us. The big fiery sign will be encountering a God who is bigger and more inscrutable than the one you arrived with. You will be stunned by what people believe that you don't. And you will be stunned by what you began to question and believe that you didn't. And then as you dig deeper into this turning aside, you will say, who shall I say is sending me? You'll learn that the name of God is present tense, and more than the God of our ancestors, but also the God of our ancestors, not just Abraham and Isaac, Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob, Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, and Zilpah, but also your mother and father and siblings and aunts and uncles and cousins and people you don't know who leaned into the God of their understanding, who became inscrutable to them, and they followed. And now that divine one will make God self-known to you in new and profound ways, and maybe even in hide your face scary ways. But this is the call to turn aside, to risk the fiery signs, to ask the questions, and maybe, yes, definitely, God will reveal God's self in this place. That is the ancient promise that still stands. Wow.